In this video I'm going to show you how to find the lengths of different sides when you're given two pictures and you're supposed to compare them. So if you look at these two pictures, they obviously look like they're the same size, but you can tell that they're not because this one says 5 and this one says 11. Now in textbooks you might be given pictures that are similar to this, and you might be tempted to say that they are the same size because they look the same size. You always want to go by whatever the numbers say rather than what the picture looks like. Okay. This one, obviously the grid is smaller on this side, so I ran out of room. I just made that an 11. On this side, I had enough room to write a 5 here, so I made this one 5 for my triangle. So again, always go by what the numbers tell you. Okay. I know that each of these sides is compares to the other side of the same triangle. So the 2 compares with the x, the 4 compares to the y, and the 5 compares to the 11. Knowing this, I can set these up in proportions and solve for my x and my y. 5 matches the 11, and let's go ahead and solve for the x first. So since I started with the 5 on top for this part of the proportion, then I need to go back to this triangle and put 2 on the top to solve for the x. Okay. Now when you have it set up like this, you cross multiply. So 5 times x is 5x. 2 times 11 is 22. Divide both sides by 5. Now, this might be the point where you want to do mental math, which is great, and that's fine if you get it correct. Some things might ask you to leave it in fraction form. If they do, then you would leave it as 22 over 5. For this particular one, though, I want to go ahead and get it into a decimal answer if I can. So I'm going to take 22 divided by 5, and I get 4.4. So my x is going to be 4.4. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing for y, but this time I can use 2 and 4.4 for my proportion if I want to. But I'm just going to stick with the 5 and 11, and then the 4 and the y. Just because these are whole numbers and they're easier to work with than the decimals. So, but you can use the 4.4 if you want to. So again, I started with the 5 on the top, so I'm going to go back to this one and use the 4 on the top, and then put the y on the bottom. You're going to cross multiply, so you have 5y equals 44. You're going to divide by 5. Again, if it asks you for a fraction, you can just leave it like this. But let's go ahead and divide. 44 divided by 5 is 8.8. So in this case, y is 8.8. Now, if you look at these, you can see that 2, I take 4.4 divided by 2, I get 2.2. If I take 8.8 divided by 2, I get 4.4. If I take 11 divided by 2, I get 5.5. So be careful here. You can't just say, well, they are all multiplied by 2.2, because that's not correct. Okay? So your easiest thing to do is to set up a proportion and solve for each side.